You have mastered the material world. You have created a beautiful life. You have exceeded, honestly, your own expectations. You have stayed on course. And even when you faced adversity, even when you faced dysfunction, right? Trauma, abuse, oppression, you made it. Congratulations. And you are now at a place where you feel the movement inside of you, because now you've created space, enough space in your life where you can actually start hearing what your voice is calling for, right? Now that you've built this life, your true self, right? The next level of you, version of you, she's saying, okay, now that you feel a sense of safety here, I actually want you to remember what we're here for. Remember the type of life that you actually want to live. Remember how you want it to feel, right? And for the woman that has mastered the material world, it can be very difficult to step into a space where you're now going to be sitting with, feeling, and processing through things that are unseen, right? Where you're going to be talking about your soul and your intuition, not because they're fluffy or because they're just buzzwords that we throw around, but because you're starting to recognize that all along the way, you have been guided, you have been protected, you have been provided for. Yes, you put so much effort of your own, but it hasn't all been on you. And when you're in this space, that's when your world can start to open up, because then you say, well, if it's not all on me, and if I'm getting the sense that I don't have to necessarily work so hard to the point of sacrificing myself, and that also doesn't mean that I'm gonna not be ambitious, not be achieving, and not, build a big life, then what does that mean for me? And it is such a fascinating place to be in as this type of woman, because your mind is going to want to be doing all of the work. Your mind is going to try to figure out, well, ABCD, timelines, job potentials, childcare. What does this all look like? And your soul is like, wait, let's just sit with the idea of what you want it to feel like. Now is not the time for you to sort out all the details of the how. And listen now. I know you are. You are incredibly, incredibly capable. But the challenging part is actually sitting with yourself and accepting the fact that, yes, I'm incredibly capable, and I'm not moving into this next version of me strictly on my own capacity or my own capabilities. That is both freeing and disorienting, because up until now, right, you have really been putting in all that work and relying heavily on the things that you can hold, on what it is that you can see, on the things that you can fully plan. And again, you've mastered this material world. Those are skills that you're still going to use. You're now actually just going to use them in a different way. You're going to use those skills to build a life that you want, not the life that you feel responsible for, not the life that you feel obligated to. And that space that you're in is going to deconstruct a lot of the stories of how you see the people around you, of how you see yourself, of how you understand the systems that you've been working in, on how you recognize how so much of what you've been calling ambition has actually been, what is that word? Has actually been internalized, right? Fear, internalized shame, internalized, hustle culture from the systems that you've been wonderfully functioning in. Okay. And as much as it's disorienting, this is a big requirement for where you are going next, because you need to break free of the illusions that you've been working under, pick up the things that do belong to you, and step over the rubble and into where you're going. So if that sounds like you, welcome. You are at the most identity shattering, life rearranging moment. And it really all starts from here. All of it. Remember, you're not starting over. You are starting from a place of very honest, intuitive choice. And that is the strongest place that you can start from. I'm sending you so much love. And I would love to hear about your journey.